right, we're live from 304 Studios in Jonesboro, Arkansas. This is an STS Pod.club production. I'm BT, and over there's Gene, and this is episode 95 of WTF News Desk, and episode, 1030 something. Okay, how about that? Gene, he's from Gadsden, and the sports complex hosts municipal, that's a hard word for me, municipal leagues, including youth and adult soccer, baseball, basketball, tennis, flag football, a little bit of everything. Gene's down there every day. He's my partner in crime, my best friend most of the time. He's Gene Jackson, and together we are Kayfabe and Cheeseburgers of Wrestling Podcasts. And I don't know who's Kayfabe and who's a cheeseburger. How the hell are you, Gene? I didn't even have any rumors about you this time. I couldn't believe it. All this time we've been doing this for almost a year, and this was the first time I didn't have a rumor about you.
Damn, that's wild, dude. It's crazy that the way I keep up with local Gadsden sports is through my friend in Jonesboro, Arkansas, knows more about it than I do, but that way I don't have to follow it. And
that's right. You go down there to that sports complex, you can pretty much do anything you want to. So, I mean, I'd be down there. No, I wouldn't. I don't even get out of the house. So I made plans this weekend so I wouldn't get out of the house. That's pretty sad. Let me make sure.
Well, now you started bringing people into your house to talk to them.
Oh, yeah. We got to, if you're listening to this with us Thursday night, right before Impact, we appreciate it. And on Saturday, we will have in the studio, Mike Anthony sat over there for 2 hours and a half. And then we have Monday or Tuesday, our old buddy Rob came in, sat down for a little over an hour talking about his history as a wrestling fan. It is you actually sat in for that interview. I thought it went real well. So
it was great. It was very interesting. And if you need another guest to come to your house and hang out, I know another wrestling guy around Jonesboro. I can reach out if you'd like me to.
Oh, really? No, I got his phone number, and thank God he didn't answer the phone the other night because I was pissed. Details coming soon on that. Let me do the business real quick. Numbers were steady. No big numbers changing, except we had a 27% increase on audio plays over year to year and a huge increase on Memphis Wrestling's Facebook. We had 94% from last month. Crazy. The videos we're not putting up as much stuff. Dustin's not putting up as much videos, and it seems to help the ones we put up. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it really does.
Man, just quickly, I don't mean to interrupt your business thing, but just for any content creators out there, whether it's wrestling or otherwise, it's a delicate balance, man. It becomes noise when every time somebody picks up their phone, you've got 5 new videos, you just start to overlook them. You really do. So, quantity over quality, that is not a thing, man. It's got to be the quality over the quantity. It really is a saying for a reason.
And I've studied it when Facebook or Instagram gets used to you posting 4 videos, you need to always post 4 videos because that's what they're looking for, and they'll push you to the back if you don't do that. So that's kind of what I do every day is 4. I'd like to do less, but all right, let's talk about top 3 episodes WTF from last month, which was 1025, Cassette Wrestling News, episode 16, which was 1031, and this doesn't surprise me, but was the 3rd annual halftime, episode 1027. We thank you. Like I said, I want to thank everybody for joining us here on Thursday afternoon, getting close to time for Impact on AMC. And as always, we start with there's something strange in the neighborhood. And let me just warn everybody. I've used the same titles, but I think some of this is different than we used to. You have to, and most of the time we do a crazy match in Japan, or you have to pick what's real, not real. There's just something. I'm going to play this video with Shelly Martinez talking about Janelle Grant. Let me just say, there's something strange in the neighborhood going on with this Janelle Grant. In my opinion, we'll talk about it on the other side.
I get it. I get Janelle Grant and where she's coming from. But I'm here to say it's a choice. And she chose to have this arrangement with McMahon. She chose to go through certain things to get what she wanted at the end of the day. And then where it really makes me mad is there's people out there that did not consent, men or women, I don't care who, they did not consent. They get taken advantage of against their will, and then their jobs or whatever it is now in jeopardy because they need to be quiet. Like, those stories exist, and a lot of those stories don't get out there because they have to comply, because you got all these Janelle Grants out there trying to act like this little do-gooder when you knew it, you weren't taken advantage of. It was very clear. You get X, Y, and Z, and this is what you have to do for it. If you want to continue to have this thing, I'm sure he upped the ante every time they like renegotiated. So, and that's when she wanted more things for herself that are going to be more expensive, because now to her, that transaction, that currency, it needs to match. So, if McMahon, you want me to do that now? Well, then guess what? You're getting me a BMW. That's where you see the currency rise on both ends. It's a deal. It's a transaction. And it makes me angry to no end that she is playing this part. And maybe she's a industry plant. I don't know. There's also that twist. But either way, this video made me so mad to where I was goofing around in my head about how we can make light of the situation a little bit here on our show and make it different than everyone else. And then immediately Janelle Grant took that away from me with her damn nonsense and what she has to say in that video. And I'm a woman, and I'm a woman that has had shitty things happen to me. I don't like that girl.
All right. So, hey, I hate the victim blame, but did you get a chance to see Janelle Grant, any of that video or that press conference she did?
I read like a synopsis of it. I didn't see the video.
What are your thoughts on Shelly saying, and Richard and Josh talked about this on their show also, Janelle Grant knew what was going on. She accepted everything that was going on, and this is not us victim blaming. This is the truth. Until Vince quit sending money, and all of a sudden she's started talking, and then they got upset. There's all kinds of shit, but she said there was an NDA, but she started talking first, and then they released everything. What's your opinion on this whole case against Vince, and you think it's going to do anything?
I don't, if we were in that Me Too moment in time where victims could come forward and say anything and it was all accepted at 100% face value and people were tried in the court of public opinion immediately and banished from, whatever business they were in, it may be a different story. Shelly has some good points here, but the thing to me, all I could think about as she was saying all of them was like, if a man had stepped out and said all this first in public, they would be freaking crucified for this. But, she can get away with it. But what she says is true, and you can look at everything as it's presented. She was fine, or, maybe she's not fine, but she was willing to be silent as long as the money kept coming in. And then when the money stopped coming in, all of a sudden, oh my God, I was victimized. It's the worst thing that's ever happened to anybody. And, if the money would have kept coming, we'd have never known about this. So was it really that bad? I mean, it's kind of like this, our gimmick. Was it really that bad? Well, probably not. If you were okay to just keep quiet as long as the checks kept rolling in. So. I don't know, man.
Good analogy here, but it's going to come off shitty. No pun intended.
Well, don't make a clip of
it. But it's almost like you're getting paid to do all these things, and as soon as you're not getting paid to do them, then you don't want to quit. You still want your check coming in if you're going to do them, and apparently. it wasn't only that, is all the other stuff was listed that Vince provided for this lady. It's just, I hate to be, it's probably not going to be politically correct to be on Vince's side here, but I say this all washes up. He ends up paying something and it'll all see you later bye kind of thing. I don't think there's going to be any jail time or anything like that.
And I'll say one more thing, and don't you dare clip this. For what you just described there about, she's basically was willing to do degrading things for money. There's a word for that. It's not victim. So there you go.
Yep. That's what I was trying to keep from saying. So there you go. That was number 10. Number 9. What the fuck, Dave? What the fuck? I almost left this blank this month as a joke. And then on the 28th, he released this thing on Wrestling Observer, and it was a tweet that someone copied and pasted what he said. A couple of things I want you touch base on when you hit this tweet again for me. Retweeted it, hit the tweet. It's a new way of saying it, Gene.
Yes.
Hit the tweet.
Cool vernacular.
Yeah. You can catch up with BT. He knows all the cool stuff.
He's one of the cool kids, literally.
Okay, so he did not criticize Danhausen hardly ever when he was at AEW. He might say he's not my cup of tea, stuff like that. He compared his entrance on the 28th to the Gooply Gobbler. I can never say that.
Gobbledygooker even.
But he just shit on him. All of a sudden decided that this gimmick wasn't going to work in WWE. And this was horrible. And, he got booed. He didn't get booed because it was Danhausen. He got booed because it wasn't Jericho.
Yeah,
that's something. And what was your thoughts on all this? We're going to shit on Danhausen before we even see what they're going to do with him.
Well, it just goes to show that, that bias that Meltzer has, that he gets a pass. If this is his true feelings, he got a pass while he was in AEW, but the minute he crosses over to the enemy side, now he's free to mock him and say, we're going to have 2 R-Truths. We don't need 2 R-Truths. Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, you never know how a particular crowd's going to react anyway. Chicago is kind of an odd crowd, but again, everybody was tuned up for Jericho. As soon as my buddy Eli Knox was presenting this box to Adam Pearce, I thought, oh no, they're not going to, as much as anybody wants to believe it, Jericho's too big of a star at this point to come out of a fucking box on some random pay-per-view. It's not going to be Jericho, and whomever is in this box is going to be cursed, no pun intended, because they cannot live up to the hype of all these people who think it's Jericho. So it didn't matter. It could have been anybody come out of that box. They were going to get booed because that's not what they wanted or expected. But Danhausen, I mean, he's an entertaining guy. He was able to take that and use it Monday night. He acknowledged it. Hey, I got all these cheers. And that's what Danhausen does. He just portrays his narrative. He says the opposite of whatever's going on if it suits him. And then he goes out and Dominic, who's been on a tear in WWE, curses Dominic, costs him the Intercontinental title. So clearly they weren't giving up on him. He had one bad night. They're not like, because people Monday were like, they're going to cast him out. He's going to be released. They're going to hide him in NXT. And it's like he was prominently featured on Monday Night Raw. Like, come on.
In a
folks.
Great segment to put Penta over. Awesome. He says cursed all the time, and it usually don't mean something. They made that mean something. So
they got it over. That's how you get shit over, folks. You make stuff mean something. And your beloved AEW that y'all think so much of and can do no wrong, you think of all the people they have that can do amazing things. They're talented workers, and the shit they do doesn't mean anything because it's not booked to make it mean anything. Here's an example. So go ahead. Whoever watches this that disagrees is going to continue to disagree that we're marks and whatever. Well, that's just fine. But we'll just watch how this plays out. And they're going to make a mint on Danhausen merchandise because that man, whether you like him or not, or you find him entertaining, nobody can deny that he has sold the living shit out of merchandise. And the next day after Raw, number 1, 2, and 3 items on the merch shop was his shirt. So sit back and watch and bitch all
Oh,
the way.
he has. I love. Not huge fan of everything he does, but I mentioned he's on 5 minute time limit on Tuesday. He's a Simpsons fan, a Kiss fan, an old B movie fan. Billy Bob would love this guy. Let me just say.
And one last thing, real quick, I want to throw in here. Not everybody that comes through the door of WWE is meant to be in the main event. We're not all going to be Roman Reigns. We're not all going to be CM Punk. And Ron Killings has had a job with WWE for over 20 years. That's proof there is a place for that. And you need entertainment besides 5-star matches. That's what he's here for. And you know what? R-Truth has been around 20 years. Maybe we do need another R-Truth with a different flavor. So
I love all of the things about professional wrestling. I've said it before. I like the big guys. I like the little guys. I like the high flying. I like the slow, methodical matches. But I like the comedy too. And the comedy with Danhausen's always been entertaining. I'm excited to see what they do with him. I actually ordered a cameo with him, and man, I just really wasted my $50. It was god awful. Other than that, I like Danhausen. All right, number 8's always I might not know it all, but I know more than you. Well, we should have probably changed the name of this time. I might not drive well, but I drive better than you. Here is some clips of Vince's driving accident that we covered on here. The clips of the actual accident just got released. You got a little bit of silence here going on. What we're watching is the car is going out of complete control.
You can start
and now we got the cop talking about Vince coming out.
Why were you driving over 100 miles an hour?
It's my granddaughter's birthday. I got to get to the next exit.
Did you see me trying to catch up to you behind you?
I didn't see that. I saw lights, but it didn't look normal.
Yeah, I'm trying to catch up to you, and you keep taking off.
Oh, no, I'm not trying to outrun you.
I know, I understand that, but that's why I was very confused. Right? Because it wasn't like you were running, it was just like you almost hit, I think, 115 miles an hour. All right, and then you just hit someone because you weren't paying attention. Were you looking at your phone?
No, trying to drive. No, I'm not looking at my phone.
The person was right in front of you. There's got to be a reason you hit him.
No, I haven't been driving my car and God knows how long.
Right. It was right in front of you. You went.
So we're not going to watch the full clip, but here's my favorite thing. I hadn't been driving in a while. So that gives him an excuse to drive the way he's driving.
Well, remember that, BT, because I know you said earlier you hadn't got out much. So if you get in any kind of scrape next time you get out, just tell them I ain't drove in a while.
Yeah, that's
Pal.
it. That's it, pal. Richard and Josh covered this on P3 Radio this past weekend. They talked about his pants, which I thought was hilarious. But dude, that is what every retired wrestler wears. They don't wear Zubaz anymore. Look at Jim Cornette, and I do the same thing, and I have always said that I put on Jim Cornette wear to get out. I don't ever wear jeans. I've worn jeans twice in the last 2 years, and I think both of them had something to do with the death.
I haven't hit my track pants stage of life yet. I'm still sitting.
Have you not? Oh, it's a beautiful thing. Jeez.
I'll let you know when I cross that threshold.
It's a beautiful thing. It really is. I have a pair just like he has, Adidas. Then I have the Walmart, knockoff with the red stripe down them, and I just swap up.
That's when you want to be flashy. You get the red stripe.
I do, yeah.
Out.
With that red, I'll put my red tennis shoes on, my red hat. I'm being flashy then. Oh, yeah. All right, that was number 8. Number 7's always a retro moment, and we're going to talk about. Just really want to talk about Frankie Kane real quick because you had some interesting stuff about him. He recently died, and during the obit, I found out I have a connection through my family to Frankie Kane that I never knew that I had. So tell us a little bit. You've read both of the Frankie Kane books, and there's a really fun story, and I think we've shared it on Patreon before, but I want you to tell the story where the Satanic Church actually contacted him.
Yeah, so Frankie Kane, like he was before my time, so I wasn't really aware of him. I heard the name, but I read the book that Gil Culkin wrote on his family's Mississippi wrestling promotion, and Frankie had booked it and was a big factor in that. And I don't know, it sparked my interest, and so then I sought out the Scott Teal books and a couple of shoot interviews he did with him, and he just had such a fascinating life as the Infernos, and then later as the Great Mephisto. And admittedly, Mephisto was basically his version of a Sheik character, Ed Farhat type thing. But he went out to California and was a big star out there. He booked for Roy Shire, and one of the interesting stories that caught my eye, and I went back yesterday and reread it just to kind of make sure I was right on all my facts here. So out in California, Mephisto has a match with Peter Maivia, and he gets so much heat on Maivia that it causes a riot. Cops are involved. They're handcuffing fans. It's just absolute madness, to the point that Frankie has to sneak out the back door to try to get to his car and get the hell out of there. And when he gets out the back door, there are freaking Samoans everywhere. I mean, they're all around. They're waiting. Wow. They've formed a circle around his car. So he's not getting to his car. But he had been seeing these people show up at the shows recently for a few weeks. And it's just these immaculately, dressed men in black. And they've got these beautiful women with them in all black dresses. And it's different women every time they're at the matches. And when he comes out the door and he sees all the Samoans out there and they surround his car, there's a guy standing next to this limousine. He says, "Come on, Mephisto, get in. We want you to meet somebody." So in that moment, Frankie can either fight 200 angry Samoans or he can hop in a limousine with well-dressed strangers. Well, he did what me and you would do, BT. He got in a limousine. So he says the limo pulled away and they blow past the Samoans who are pounding the side of this limousine as they leave. And Frankie asked them, he said, "So where are we going? Who do you want me to meet?" And the driver says, "Well, it's somebody who can further your career. It's somebody who can help you make money." So Frankie's like, "All right, make money. That sounds good to me." So they drive about 4 or 5 blocks, and he says they pull up to this black house, like painted completely black with like these spotlights circling like search beams outside the house. And Frankie Kane, who, if you read those books, man, he had a very wild and interesting life. And he said he had been in riots, bar fights, boxing matches, and nothing had ever shaken him. He said, but this black house and the whole vibe around it literally scared him. But he's here now. So he goes inside, and this man dressed completely in black greets him and gives him the sign of the ram, which is something that he had been doing on TV because he just thought it, seemed like some evil shit for Mephisto to do. Right. And the man his hand, he's like, "Hey, glad you're here." And Frankie says, "Who are you?" And the man says, "Anton LaVey." "Yes, that Anton LaVey. I'm the founder of the Church of Satan." And so LaVey tells him, "You have all the tools to do great work for us. I've seen you using the sign of the ram on TV, and we can use that to send messages to certain people. It'll go over the public's head, but those certain people will get the message."
Wow.
And so Frankie asks, "So there's money in this?" And he says, "Yes." And then he explains that they're a cult, not in those words. He don't say like, "Hey, we're a cult," but explain to Frankie what they are. He realizes now, like, "Oh, okay, shit, this is a devil worshiping cult here." And so LaVey had assumed Mephisto was already involved in some sort of satanic, something. And Frankie starts laughing. And he says LaVey is not laughing. He's not smiling. He doesn't look amused at all. And he says, "You do believe in the ram, don't you?" And Frankie says, "I don't even know what that is." He said, "I just saw some wrestler do it years ago and thought it looked pretty evil and started doing it in the ring." And at that point, Anton LaVey realizes there's been a huge misunderstanding. But to his credit, Frankie said the meeting stayed cordial. There was no threats, no drama. They agreed to wait a little bit till the heat died down with the Samoans and drive him back to his car. And that's the story of how Frankie Kane was unexpectedly recruited to join the Church of Satan.
Love that story. You had told it a little bit before. Love it. Love the idea. It's not a work, motherfucker. Don't be Frankie. You're trying to fuck up my gimmick here. Is what I can hear Anton LaVey saying. I told you I had my famous my favorite quote of Anton LaVey was, "It's not easy being evil in a world that's gone to hell."
What a line.
Yeah, I had it airbrushed on a shirt, and people would just look at me like, "That fucker's crazy," but it's so true. So I'm reading the obit to find out I have a family connection. So Frankie had a tag team, the Infernos. The first partner was a guy by the name of Rocky Smith. Rocky Smith was the brother of my uncle, James Smith. James was married to my mama. Y'all know I love my mama. My mama's sister, Virginia, for many years. And I reached out to my cousin to confirm this, but she had sent me, and she can't find them now. And I can't, apparently it's been deleted in Facebook Messenger, but she had pictures of Rocky when he was wrestling with some kind of title belts and stuff that was really neat. But the family all knew. I remember when I told people I liked wrestling, I remembered that he said his brother or somebody in the family was a wrestler. I remember that part of it, but it didn't go ding ding until I read that article, and I just thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, for sure. If you haven't read, especially the second book was more like that. The first one goes into his childhood and growing up on the streets and being a street hustler and getting trained by Al Taft and that famous Chicago and all that. But the second one's really interesting. They were in so many different riots and doing that Inferno's gimmick and everything. It's just a really interesting book, and
I'm gonna have to check those out. I really actually become a fan of Frankie Kane by reading his obit. Believe it or not, it's really weird. You read all the stuff that he did, and he was just such an interesting guy, and got into business a weird way. And just, and we watched some matches of him. I don't get it, but that was really old he was old when we watched that.
Yeah.
But he made a living in this business, made a good living. So. All right, that was the retro moment. We're up to number 6. I'm going to play a video here. This is a couple of things that's happened to Logan Paul, and I don't know, Gene. I follow a lot of YouTubers, and just watching the shit that they do to get in trouble, that's one of my things to not watch wrestling. Yeah. Logan Paul is on that list almost all the time. He's released some kind of crypto. The energy drink that he had dropped completely. It's being sold for hardly nothing now. Not doing well. But he had Tom Brady, and I know you're not a football fan, but I thought it was interesting. And then he sold something also this month. So let's take a real quick look. This is only about less than a minute clip.
You're a good athlete, but honestly, when I'm thinking of Saquon Barkley, I love WWE. It's very cute, but honestly, this is like real football.
So, Logan Paul,
Logan, you get it.
Ken Golden,
Yes.
Tonight you sold the PSA 10 Pikachu Illustrator card for $16,492,000.
If you heard a silence and you're not watching the video, I took some music out because that seems like the only thing that strikes us. But right after we showed the Tom Brady clip, not watching the video, Logan Paul just showed a bunch of clips of what he does in the ring. What was your thoughts from number one? You're not a football fan, but you know that they consider him the GOAT, Tom Brady. Be like Ric Flair sitting there and someone saying he never was a good wrestler but what do you think about what he said about wrestling? It didn't bother me. It really didn't bother me, but it seemed to bother a lot of fans.
Yeah, I guess these younger people weren't around back in our day as a kid when, wrestling was looked down upon. And, even now, a lot of them will preface like, well, you got to be a good athlete. But back then it was all these phony wrestlers. None of that shit they do is real. Right. None of it hurts. It's all just phony bullshit. So, I've heard that all my life, so no, that doesn't faze me. I didn't think much of it. Man, I've said this plenty of times before, but whether you like Logan Paul as a person or, respect him or whatever, him and his brother both, you got to respect two kids that started out as YouTubers and have made the kind of money and accomplished and done the things that they want to do in life. You have to respect that. You ain't got to like him, but it's absolutely amazing to me the things these guys have accomplished. And this freaking Pokemon card that he bought for nearly $6 million, and people laughed, and what an idiot, he paid nearly $6 million for a freaking card. And now he's sold it for over $16 million. It set all kinds of records as far as like most money for a card that, wasn't a sports card. And I heard Cardona say on something the other day, and this is a good point, he wore that around his neck to the ring at WrestleMania. Technically it was wrestling gear. So it's the most expensive piece of ring-worn wrestling gear that's ever been sold. And that record will probably never be broken.
I'm not going to agree with that one, but
hey, Paul can claim it though, and nobody can completely argue it. But right. And here's the thing, man, he has no freaking right to be as talented in the ring as he is. You can shit on his promos or whatever. But, dude, if you watch his matches, and you could sit down in a day and watch every match Logan Paul's ever had, that's how few he's had, you do not see him botching things the way that there's 15-year veterans over on another show that are out there that will slip up at least once or twice in almost every match you see, and you don't see that out of him. He should not be nearly as good as he is, so people don't give the guy enough credit. But, he's a heel, so it works.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Not he's, like I said, been in some questionable shit. There's even some. I'm not sure what that was. I might have had a mini stroke. I think again. There's some controversy about the Pokemon card that I looked into. When he first bought it, he didn't really spend that amount of money on it. It's really weird. They have this system where you could buy a certain percentage of the card. So you have X amount of people. So he then goes and pays for the card for the $6 million with this guy that auctions everything. He's on Netflix, by the way. And goes ahead because he knows it's fixing to be ungodly amount without telling any of the other people, which I guess no one else could, you could have a gazillion people actually own a piece of that car, but he ended up buying it all and then selling it for 3 times the amount of money. So yeah, he's a great businessman. I love his hustle. I've not been entertained by a Logan Paul match. From day one, he's always doing something. Makes a great heel too. Great heel, because you want to hate him no matter what. All right, guys, we're going to do 2 commercials, and then when we come back, we'll go to halftime.
Don't miss Memphis Wrestling Live, Friday, March 20th. Don't miss Wrestling Night with the Memphis Grizzlies at FedEx Forum. Saturday, March 21st, join us at the Memphis Hustle Game at Landers Center, featuring live Memphis wrestling. Sunday, March 29th, Vince Russo is coming to Memphis Wrestling. Saturday, April 11th, Memphis Wrestling is headed to Little Rock for Arkansas Travelers Wrestling Night at Dickey Stevens Park. All tickets are on sale now. Get yours right now at memphiswrestling.tv.
Get ready, wrestling fans. MCW is bringing you the action like never before. Experience the high-flying moves, the bone-crushing slams, and the rivals that can only be settled inside the square ring. This is family-friendly live professional wrestling at its very best. Don't just hear about it. Be there when the superstars of MCW collide in unforgettable matches you'll talk about for weeks. Tickets are affordable. The action's nonstop, and the excitement is guaranteed. MCW Wrestling, where the future of wrestling happens now. Be there. Arkansas Lock-In Natural State Wrestling is on tour. Feel the power. That's right. Saturday, March 7th, NSR storms into Judsonian at the Judsonian Community Building, fighting for a cause as we throw down for Mission Machine, supporting our neighbors and changing lives. New rivals, new talent, and a massive 5-on-5 elimination war for the control of Natural State Wrestling. Alliances shatter, power shifts. Nah, it ain't gonna be quiet, folks. This is full-blown building, shaking wrestling. Every donation goes right back into the community, and every match leaves a mark. This isn't just wrestling. This is Natural State Wrestling. Loud, unpredictable, and built for Arkansas. NSR on tour. March matches kick off now. Be there. I'll hear about it later. Contact Elijah Dobbs at 501-380-5734 for sponsorship tiers, or email them at naturalstatewrestling@gmail.com. That's RASSLIN. All right, we're up to halftime, and we usually play some funky music and Gene dances, and I just sat here, but me and Gene are in a brand new, spanking new studio. StreamYard studio. I've got an extra chair. That's all I've got. But we don't have. I didn't load the music, so we're good to go. We're going to talk about halftime, and I want to talk about this video.
There's this weird culture surrounding wins and losses right now that I don't think really existed. Like, it's always existed maybe behind the scenes, but it's very strange. Fans are really hyper focused on, like, if you lose, you're a jobber. If you lose, you're being buried. And if you win, you're X, Y, and Z. Like, that's not true. Two people are in a match or more. One person has to lose. Only one person can win and one person can lose. Like, hello, people. It is facts. Like, facts. Just because someone is losing does not mean they're being buried, does not mean does not mean they're a jobber, does not mean, all the silly things that we say. It's like, it's entertainment. It is entertainment. Just because LeBron's team, sometimes loses, it does not make him a big loser. He's still the best.
We won't talk about LeBron. So tell me, is this one of the smartest things you've ever heard? Because there is many people that think, including Dave Meltzer, that shits on Phoenix, shits on anyone, Rusev, anybody that loses, then they're jobbers. It's just so stupid to me.
Yeah, famously, I'm not a huge fan of women's wrestling, but Chelsea Green to me is my absolute favorite women's wrestler because of how entertaining she is in the ring, how good she is on the mic, and because of shit like this. When you hear from her outside the ring, I've heard her on Van Vliet and a few different things. She understands this shit. She gets it. She knows what she's going out there to do, and she embraces her role. And Chelsea could lose for the rest of her life and still be over, still have a place in the business because she knows what she's doing and she's entertaining as hell. And then when you find out somebody like that you're entertained by, that you're a fan of, is, intelligent and understands the business, none of the shit's happening by accident. This is all well executed. It's even more impressive. Her and Toni Storm are like my two favorite women's wrestlers because they have figured out, they have unlocked the key to being an entertainer, and being a woman's just a small part of the package. They could be entertaining on either side of the business. So,
and her husband helps a lot too. Matt is really, when it comes to gimmicks, comes to understand the business, but Chelsea does get it. She is my favorite women's wrestler. I don't, not huge into women's wrestling either. One of the things she done in TNA where she was crazy, I can't remember. She was a bride. They need that character in WWE. She is so, eventually they probably will, but she's so good with that. And like I've said before, huge fan. We may have something next month about Chelsea also, but I just thought people that don't understand the term jobber and what it was meant enhancement talent, whatever. A jobber does not get offense. A jobber doesn't win a belt.
Or mic time.
Do what now?
Or mic time.
Or mic time. Yeah. And so that's what people don't understand. And something I've made a point to say a million times, you can't push everybody all the time. There's got to be a loser. And so that's the part that people, Sami Zayn's a perfect example, who goes in and out, watch his career, see what they do with him, kind of on the back burner, into the front. That's the kind of stuff they have to do. So, I mean, Chelsea was perfect there. All right, we're done. That was halftime. No, I'm not going to do it. I was going to try, G. All right, we're going to do 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. 5. Smarks be acting crazy. Okay, I don't know if you've seen this, but Selena Slay was at ringside. They had hired her, AEW did, for Mr. Andrade. I can never say his name. You'll have to say it. That's why I started calling him Mr. Andre. For the Las Vegas show, she was there. She's an OnlyFans model. She made the comment, "This is so fake." And apparently the AEW fans attacked her so much, she had to deactivate her account for a while.
Finally, the AEW fans coming through.
There we go. Cool.
Andrade. Yes. Yeah, when you said Andre, I picture a whole different. Oh, Andre.
I say Mr. Andre, then you got to think about, the hair, the body, the kind of thing, He's my hairdresser. Mr. Andre is. But these AEW fans, man, WWE fans are just the same, but they're just sick of, got mad because she said she wasn't playing with the crowd kind of thing. She wasn't going to say it was real. I love it when they say OnlyFans model and content creator. It's porn, folks. It's porn. I'm sorry.
Homemade, post your own porn.
By the way, one of my favorite things is homemade porn. I really like it. The amateur look. So the OnlyFans would be the place for me to go. And if I keep being unemployed, I might start that butthole site. So you never know.
Might have to, but back in the day, you might see the chick, working at the counter somewhere and think, oh, she's hot. And then now, she might have a pin on, or, if you see her car in the parking lot, it's got a sticker in the back window with her OnlyFans address. So I guess there's a market for it.
We're going to have to get Josh to tell on Patreon. He told it on the main feed of P3 Radio one time, but this will be, he can show more details. He got in trouble at work for saying something to some woman about being on OnlyFans. It is a really good story. So I said Smarks be acting crazy. I don't believe this guy's a smart, but this motherfucker's acting crazy. Let's watch the Darby Allin incident.
Well, I love it, dude. And we're excited to see you when you come to Tucson for AEW Collision. We got this program going on. Can we expect to see a match?
One second.
I hate to interrupt your AA or therapy session or whatever, but it's kind of rude of you to be on speakerphone in someone's Uber.
Is it cool if I finish?
Look, man, I've been driving since 5 a.m. I'm tired. Can you just put the phone up? It's a little rude.
This is like an interview. Yeah, we're on national TV right now, just doing an interview here.
I don't care. I make $15 an hour. I don't care.
Yeah, but you want 5 stars. This is 1-star behavior.
Is this your AA sponsor or something?
No, it's not an AA sponsor.
I don't care. Can you just put the phone away?
I'm straight edge.
I knew with this face paint, this Gene Simmons thing, you were gonna be trouble.
Yeah.
Dude,
wait,
you want me to cancel Put the phone away.
No, hold on.
What do you mean? Hold on.
Just pull over real quick. Let me finish this.
Yeah, finish it all right. You're getting out of my freaking car. This is insane.
No, yeah. That's 1-star behavior, sir. And honestly, a Lyft driver would not drive like that. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to get
Uber.
Take me to Tucson.
Yeah. Take him to Tucson so we can be doing AEW live here.
Yeah, real fun, buddy. Dude, I'm over this. You're getting out of my car now.
Let me see you.
We're in the middle of the highway.
I don't care.
We're,
Out!
we're,
Get out! Out! Go! Get out of my car! Get out!
We're in the middle of the highway.
See, Lyft drivers really do this.
Out! Go!
Wow.
I'm in the middle of the highway, so
No truth to the rumor I acted like that one time when they didn't have meatloaf at Ryan's. I did not act that way. There's so much in that really short video that makes me die laughing. He says AA. They're talking about AEW. He thinks he's having an AA meeting.
That can't be real, can it?
It was real.
Jesus Christ. And that guy makes a living. Well, there's some strange people doing Uber, huh?
Yeah, I mean, Uber is a perfect example of letting any weirdo that you know, especially in the Jonesboro area, letting any weirdo pick you up and take you someplace.
Although I could see them freaking out and kick somebody out of their car in that same tone, especially if it was you.
Yeah. But I'm not going to sit here. I'm not going to say I've never had a meltdown. I'm not going to say that because I have. Probably in the last 4 weeks, somebody put some ketchup on a hamburger and I had a meltdown. But that is so funny to me since I'm making $15 an hour. And then he's just screaming. And when the guy says Lyft, it's like, it's Uber. I'm doing Uber. And I was cracking up.
What a weird thing to flip out about. And knowing that that's going to get you all this negative, response.
Oh, man.
Wow.
AA meeting. It's just rude. All right. That was number 5. Number 4, as always, wrestlers behaving badly. Oh, my good buddy, Kevin Nash. I love Kevin Nash, but what a hell of a clip here.
He's a little bit too fucking Mr. Bojangles for me. I wish he was a little bit more urban. I understand it's Netflix. I understand there's a big fucking world out there besides the one that fucking 66-year-old Detroit boy Kevin Nash wants, but I just want him to have a little bit of an edge. But if he's not going to have an edge, then he knows how to throw. He can strike. Like, he throws a good punch. Fucking take your time and throw a good punch. Maybe put 2 or 3 together. Something where fucking you tell me, if this shit was real, all this athleticism I have, I can use. Not, if this shit was real, motherfucker, I would cartwheel off your motherfucking body like you would never see.
It's being in a fight. We always come back to this, right?
Oh, I love Kevin Nash. Oh, all I could think, and I had to go look up Mr. Bojangles, but all I could think about is he wanted him to do a shoe shining gimmick or something. I was like,
well, all I could think is the redheaded guy in the blue outfit that used to wrestle in Mississippi that wrestled as Mr. Bojangles.
Yeah.
And that had the stuttering problem. He sadly passed away last year.
All I could see is Javon Evans dancing, just a little bit of jigging going on. He wasn't jigging enough for Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash got so much help for this online. And he even doubled down and then took it down. He said, how many times have you heard people call others Tom, Mr. Tom or Uncle Tom, yeah, Mr. Tom.
Mr. Tom. Don't you call me no Mr. Tom.
Uncle Tom and a Mr. Andretti. So there we go. But I love that clip, just so much. Here's a clip where I don't know if you saw this, but they had a huge chant at AEW for ISIS Dude, I'm going to play this part of the clip that Eric Bischoff's talking about with Conrad, and I agree with Eric. This is not a good thing to be part of, kind of thing. First up, it just showed that CNN had run it on their website.
Why would you, on the heels of something that all you have to do is wake up and have a cup of coffee and look around you at the companies, the major brands that have gone woke and gone broke, publicly destroyed, stock market crash. Just look at what happened to Bud Light. Look at what happened to Cracker Barrel. Look what happened to all these mainstream America iconic freaking brands when they decided to play politics. Now, I'm not the smartest guy in the world. We all know that. No argument from anybody on that one. But you don't have to be that smart to know what a stupid thing that is to do unless there's a reason you're doing it. What would the reason be to do this article in the first place? Because now you're inviting the audience to join in. This is essentially Turner Broadcasting telling you to show up and stand up against Trump. That's what you just did. That was the intent. Either knowingly or unknowingly, that is what happened. I think it's
so. You're looking at a wrestling company trying to get behind something. You know, I think we've discussed this multiple times about politics and not, especially on WTF when we have Undertaker, Kane, whatever, saying what they say. We see people showing up, political people showing up for Trump, whatever. I don't think this should be part of wrestling. They should not be doing this on their TV show.
It's very divisive. I mean, you're going to lose a large chunk of fans one way or the other because nowadays, like when I was a kid, you really didn't even know what people's politics were. You didn't know who they voted for or how, nobody labeled themselves most of the time. We're Democrats and fuck you if you're not, or we're Republicans.
Right.
We can't coexist if you believe or follow or vote or whatever. So that's such a divisive topic now to go out there and put your stamp on anybody, no matter what side of the aisle they're on, is just crazy. I don't want to hear about it. I mean, goddamn, man, if I'm watching wrestling, it's probably because I've flipped past 10 other things where all they were talking about is politics. And I want to get the hell away from it. I don't want to see it on my damn wrestling show. Whoever you're supporting or whoever you're against or whatever.
You're right. And Eric Bischoff was right about what he said. Look at all these major companies that tried to be politically correct. People that like something are going to like something no matter what. We want to drink it and have our own right to be a redneck if we want to. We want our own right to decide what we want to do instead of it being pushed down our throat while we're trying to watch some entertainment. I have that problem sometimes with sometimes on my CBS shows, they'll throw something in there that I just absolutely hate. But don't want my politics and made me even sour on AEW even more because we knew what was going to happen. I mean, I'm pretty much sure everybody knew we was going to hear a chant of some sort. All right, we're up to number 3. We usually reserve this for Tony Khan. Shock me, wrestling's shocking moments of the month. But we found out something that happened on a Jericho cruise. And Gene, man, I know this is going to shock you, but Dave Meltzer didn't want to fight Booker T.
And laugh and having some fun. And lo and behold, who walks in? Dave Meltzer. He has 2 people with him. It was a girl and a guy. And he said, "Hey, Rick," and Rick goes, "Hey, Dave," and Dave comes over and Dave actually takes a seat with us. And I'm like, wow, Dave Meltzer, you know what I mean? It was Dave Booker, I was like, yeah, Dave Meltzer. And something just came over me at this point because this was the first time I ever met Dave Meltzer before. And I go, Dave Meltzer. I said, Dave, you've quoted me before. And we've never met. We've never had a conversation. How can you quote someone and you've never had a conversation with them. I said, and I just got so upset, and I just looked at him and I go, man, all these years, I just want to tell you, you're a piece of what. I said, no, you really are. You really are. You really are a piece of what. And I said, and I got so mad, and I said, man, I could rip your ears off right now. I really could. I really could. I could rip your ears off right now. And and then I composed myself. And his friend goes, man, I've been in a bad situation before, and I think this is a bad situation. I think we should leave. And I go, yeah, Dave, I think you should leave. Dave Meltzer laughed without saying a word. He never, defended himself or never said that he didn't do what he did.
I know it shocked you that Dave, and I don't know if you've ever met Dave or been face to face with Dave Meltzer. He's a muscular little fella, but he's not very big. But when it came to sitting at the table with Ric Flair and Booker T, and Booker T tells him he's a piece of shit, and he only wanted to rip his ears off. Good God, I don't blame Dave for getting up.
That's so specific. I'm gonna rip your ears off. That's the thing, man. When you say the things you say about some of these people, and as Booker was saying, you're quoting them on things as if you heard it directly from them. If you're going to choose to be out in public somewhere and run into them, you got to expect at some point you're going to have to hear about it.
I had it happen to me a couple of times. So, yeah, I mean, I know how it is, but I just thought it was so funny that Booker just said a couple of things and Dave was like, okay, see you later, bye. I don't blame him, but I just thought it was funny. I thought it brought and some people were, you cannot be surprised if you've been standing next to Booker T and then stand next to Dave Meltzer. Which person would you trust to be able to handle themselves? Number two, I just had to put this in. Number two, I found two funny. Beer and college campuses is what a college campus. Number one, the Real American Beer is cutting back on the Hulk Hogan as the brand. They're doing some kind of golden ticket promotion. They're going to still put him on some of the stuff, but not just special. I thought that was a mistake because that's what this beer is about, right? The WWE, the Real American, the Hulk Hogan fans.
I thought he was the brand. I thought that was the whole purpose of the beer existing, was to exist as a Hulk Hogan brand. So, this is gonna, they're gonna go down in flames pretty quick. I don't, because from what I heard, like people that I personally know that went and bought some just to collect them, and especially after he passed, that drank a couple of them, said it's awful beer. Like the only reason you would buy it is because you're a Hulk Hogan fan. It ain't because it's just some great beer to sit around and drink. So this will be the turning point of where this.
I thought the same thing too, and real shady too. They said with a golden ticket, you'll get a 12-pack of autographed Hogan by Hogan.
I don't know.
I guess I do know that's what he did when he went into the liquor stores. When he went to the liquor store, he would do autograph of the cans and stuff. So the other thing just got me to laughing because Corey Graves is now working a professor at Point Park University in Pittsburgh in the communications department. He goes in talking about, him doing the broadcasting with wrestling and stuff, which is, it has to be a cool class, and I don't know if it's just as strange now as it would be when I was in college in the 90s, early 90s, but to see Corey Graves walk in at the front of class with all those tattoos and everything, I mean, what the hell? What would you think, Gene?
I don't know. I picture, if we try to relate it time-wise, I picture Jesse Ventura walking into a college class, with that pink suit jacket he would wear and the gold bandana and the boas and buckwheat T-shirt he wore on Saturday night's main event on NBC of all things, and up there teaching.
I just love the sight. Just it's so funny to me. I have a weird sense of humor. I find things like the Paul Diamond interview that we did recently on the CW thing. I just find humor. All right, we're up to number one, And I think it brought more attention to everything and actually proved some points that me and you have been making since you joined WTF. Let's observe the Observer Awards for this past year. Let's listen to a few clips.
There's this weird.
Oh, that was the wrong thing.
Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards. I got to talk about these. I agree with many of them. Others I question. Some I'm outright appalled by. Wrestler of the Year, Mystico. Ran away with it. The one thing I got out of these awards, besides the obvious, which is that CMLL had a great year, man, these people love them some Adam Page. Which does make me question some of the booking of Adam Page over the past year. Best on Interviews. I will say I was surprised that Hangman Adam Page won. Not that he's not a great promo, he is. But, I mean, he beat Moxley, Tony Storm, CM Punk, MJF, John Cena, Drew McIntyre, Ospreay, Mark Briscoe, and Cody Rhodes. All of whom, I mean, they're all fantastic promos. Promotion of the year was, in fact, CMLL. For the first time ever in first place, with almost 9 times the number of first place votes as number 2. AEW Dynamite, best weekly television show. I'm a big fan of AEW. I got no problem whatsoever with Dynamite coming in number 1. But I'm sorry, in no universe is Collision better than Raw and SmackDown. Best booker was Tony Khan. And again, I'm a big fan of AEW. I'm a fan of Tony Khan. But if you look at 2025, Tony Khan was not at his best for a lot of that year. And I honestly think that he has done this for a reason. You know, we've always said, like, why is the Continental Classic in December? I think it's in December because he's at his best and the Observer Award voting is about to start. Match of the year, Kenny Omega, Gabe Kidd.
I mean, it was good, but it was no Psycho Circus versus the Wyatts.
Get out of here. This is the worst I've ever seen out of the Observer Awards. And it's not even close. Worst match of the year, John Cena versus Cody Rhodes.
Oh!
Guys.
What? They? Come on.
328 of you need your voting privileges revoked. The worst match of the year, and it's not even a question. It's not even an opinion. This actually isn't even subjective. This is objective. Minoru Suzuki and Butterbean was the worst match I have ever seen in my whole life. It was the worst match Dave has ever seen in his entire life. It was horrible, beyond words, and it came in second.
Brian.
To John Cena and Cody Rhodes.
It wasn't just Minoru Suzuki versus Butterbean. It was Minoru Suzuki versus Butterbean in a rounds match with Dan Severn as the referee, who actively made it worse somehow. He was like an active participant in the match, making it worse. I think he was applying holds to them at some point. That match was putrid.
The point is, the Wrestling Observer Awards came out, and the worst commentator, the top 5, was Pat McAfee. It was Michael Cole. It was Vic Joseph. And Booker T was at the top of the list as the worst commentator in pro wrestling. I saw this and immediately go, well, these guys don't get it. But what was your initial reaction?
Before we even speak on myself, all right, we got a lot to talk about here. Before we even talk about me, let's talk about one name. In my humble opinion, Vic Joseph. There's no way Vic Joseph should be on any list like that whatsoever. I don't get that at all. I mean, of course, Michael Cole, you can put Michael Cole on the list because he's been around for 30 years. Okay. Sure. He's a guy that's, he can get repetitive because he's been saying it for many, many years, but that's no slight on him as far as doing his job. He's the best in the business as far as being able to control that situation. And most people don't have an inkling of an idea what being in that situation is really all about on live TV, having to, steer traffic, have to do, like with Vic Joseph, he do all the.
He keeps on talking about it, pretty much says he could give care less about that award. I think the Wrestling Observer Awards now are a joke. They have been probably the last 7, 8 years, but I quit voting a long time ago. This is just a smart person, and it's not smart. I mean, as in smart fans, this is what they like. And that's not us. We're not in that situation anymore, Gene. If they thought, this is why I think there's a bunch of marks. If they thought that John Cena match was the worst match they've seen this year, they do not understand professional wrestling. I think they were mad because he lost.
If the award was biggest letdown of the year, then okay, I'll co-sign that. It didn't live up to the hype that people wanted it to. Worst match of the year? Come on. Not even close.
And the it just so lopsided about, always been lopsided when it comes to the foreign influence. I can't really fight about Arena Mexico and all that stuff this year because they did excellent numbers. But WWE did too, and then put Dynamite and Collision ahead of all the WWE stuff just because it is that, and then always picking on Booker T. Booker T may be a required taste, an acquired taste. For some reason, I say required. Acquired taste. But to me, he's freaking entertaining. And that Vic Joseph is very good at what he does.
I mean, I don't watch it, so I don't know. I mean, I've got a couple of buddies that echo that they think Booker T is the worst person to ever sit down in front of a microphone. But they don't say that's a fact. That's their opinion. And that's the big thing that, I don't know, people lose sight of is the Wrestling Observer Awards is just the opinion of a very small niche subsection of fans, but they think that their opinion is the most important one and it's the only right one. And they'll fight you not literally fight you. They'll get up and leave the fucking room like Dave Meltzer did Booker T. But they'll argue you online and they'll never let it die that they think they're right and that you're stupid if you don't agree with them. And that's the most thing about those people. There's no room for another opinion.
It just makes no sense. I really paid attention to Dave when he discussed these awards before the awards came out. He predicted, I'm not saying that's what he did, but he influenced his cult to vote a certain way. And they all just followed him with him and did exactly what he's doing. All right, Gene, I tell you what, you want to put over anything or you tell them to go to a certain site and then they'll be able to see everything, right?
Everything. RetroWrestlingArchive.club. I've joined the club, and you can find everything that I do there, all the different podcasts, the Substack, all that right there. RetroWrestlingArchive.club.
Right on. As everyone knows, same bat time, same bat channel on the best little wrestling podcast in the business. Be there. And as everyone knows, like I said, you got to know it by now. I love my mama.